Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omni video. Today we're going to do a should you pull on the Kadaj and General Leo banners that are about to drop in just a couple of days after you're seeing this video, right? So we've got a banner here with General Leo and it's got Terra and Alphinaud on it. And then on the other side, whoops, wrong tab. On the other side, I'm going to close that one. We have Kadaj with Bartz and Cyan. So first I'm going to talk about just if you decide to summon here, what type of spheres are good and maybe calls. I would say let's start with the calls. So there's only one call that's notable here, and that's General Leo. General Leo's got a good call because you can put this on a single target damage dealer in a burst phase, and it just gives him extra true HP damage on single target damage. So his call is actually pretty good for that. In terms of other characters, really no other notable calls here, right? Now spheres, I think other than Terra, everybody's sphere has value. Like, these are all pretty dang good spheres other than Terra. I think Bartz is very notable because his is like what the highest max brave sphere in the game. So where max brave only spheres aren't all, like, it's not common that you need those, but when you get a character that does want it, Bartz is the best. And notably, we're getting this right after Astos dropped. Bart's sphere is like choice, like the best sphere you can put on Astos, because all Astos cares about is max brave. So Bartz is really notable that if you went for Astos, which you probably should have, and you don't have a Bart sphere, like getting his EX is like totally good for the sphere, right? Cyan's got like an attack with like a little bit of overflow on it, which is decent. I think Kadaj has a solid attack one. Alphinaud has probably like one of the best C-slot spheres in the game. So Alphinaud is a really nice pickup for a sphere here for sure. And for spheres, by the way, guys, I wouldn't summon on these just for spheres, but I know people just like to know like which ones to look out for in case they pull extra EXs. But Alphinaud's C sphere is very good. It's a C slot that has attack up to the party, and it's one of the few C slots that doesn't like require healing or something. It's got a generic trigger on it. So Alphinaud is like the go-to C slot sphere. So that's very good. Terra's sphere isn't good. It's iBrave and Max Brave. Don't really care about that. And Leo's got a pretty solid attack one as well. So yeah, a lot of the EXs here are worth holding on to. But I'd say Alphinaud is the best sphere for sure. And I really like Bartz for that Max Brave because there's going to be characters that want that. Now in terms of like, should you actually summon for the characters themselves, right? Let's talk about the General Leo side. And in terms of the characters themselves, I think this whole banner is a skip. Terra's, it's funny because Terra is an Echo character. She was actually, I believe, one of the first characters to get Echo. And with Force 50, that does give her more value, but she's just not good enough. And I hate to say it because Final Fantasy VI is my favorite game. Terra is one of my favorite characters, but I'm not going to recommend her just because I like the character. Like, Terra is actually not that good. Her damage has been severely power crept, and like that's her big thing, is that she's just damage, and that she can like take a lot of turns and do a lot of damage in a row. She's definitely fine to use like in Retain era. Like, you can definitely like use her, but there are so many other damage dealers you'd rather run over Terra. So unfortunately, Terra's had her time in the limelight for sure, like several times. There's been several times in the game's history that she's been like one of the best DPSs in the game. So it's okay that just right now, it's just not Terra's time. Alphinaud, not worth running as a C, as a LD only character, but once again, that sphere is very good. And then General Leo, I'm not a fan of General Leo. The thing is his damage is good, and he does do follow-ups if you have the BT, which is nice. But General Leo, when you actually, like, he sounds pretty good on paper, but when you actually use him, you realize, like, how wonky he feels to play. Because he revolves around kind of, like, targeting a specific enemy, and you kind of have to, like, only attack that enemy. And if you want to switch enemies, you got to, like, switch your debuff to the other enemy and make sure you target them. Otherwise, you miss out on a lot of damage, right? So he just feels wonky because you have to, like, always be paying attention to which enemy, and he's really single target focused, but in a way that you, like, kind of have to focus on a certain enemy, and you might not always want to do that. So I'm actually not a fan of General Leo, even though, like, I got his BT really luckily on, what was it, like the New Year's banner or something, or some banner where they're just throwing everybody out there, and I got him. Maybe it was Anniversary or something. I think it was Anniversary maybe, but yeah, I haven't even like touched him since then, and I just know like when I have used him, he just feels a bit wonky to play. And you guys have seen how insane the banners have been this month between the already scheduled stuff, and then they threw in like the Astos banner and the Aerith banner. Like, there's just way too many other good things to summon on that you shouldn't even be bothering with this banner, right? Now this side we have Kadaj. Now, Bart's actually somewhat recently got his Echo, but he's not. Bart's is a solid aura bot with some wind damage, but he's pretty low tier also, so he's definitely not worth chasing. And remember, on this banner, you're not, for like Terra and Bart's, which are BT, FR, Echo characters, you don't get access to their BT and FRs here anyway. So you definitely don't want to pull on them as LD only characters in this type of banner, right? So you'd have to be, like, if you're going to pull for Bart's or Terra, you have to be in a really weird spot where you for some reason have at least the FR and maybe the BT, but like you want to get the LD or something, right? Like that, there's going to be very few players in that situation. Cyan, Doo-Doo, not good. LD only damage dealer, you don't really want to deal with him. But like I said, I think his Sphere is solid. His Call's okay, but like it used to be because he had a really strong LD attack, but like that's been so power crept. So Cyan, there's kind of just like really no place for him right now. And then we have Kadaj. Now, I know there's a lot of people really looking forward to Kadaj, and there's a lot of people that I think feel a bit more hype about him than I do. I'm going to say that this banner is also like very easily skippable. But if you want to wait and see, I will try to do a proper guide on Kadaj so we can look at him. But when I look at his kit on paper, his damage is definitely solid. The way Kadaj works, if you're not familiar, he kind of revolves around two things. He revolves around a fixation debuff and then gold framed debuffs, which is really cool. And he also had the same problem as General Leo, where it was wonky because he always wants to attack the fixation enemy. And the way this works is his fixation debuff can exist on multiple enemies, but it's a stacking buff that stacks up to 5, and you want it on 5. And what happens is if you switch targets, the fixation that was at 5 will go back down to 1. And so it still felt like General Leo, where you kind of just had to stay to one person. And if you wanted to switch, you'd use like the AA or something to switch the fixation target. He felt very similar to Leo to play. Well, he gets a lot better now because his BT, they do something with him that's kind of similar to Core, where like Core had Oath of Absolute Defense. You could really only have it on one other person at a time. The BT made it so you could have it on all 3. Well, that's kind of what Kadaj does. His BT kind of fixes his fixation problem, because what it is you always can put fixation on all the enemies, but what the BT does is it makes it so the stacks won't decrease. So what you can do is you can get all of the enemies fixated up to 5 and have that up on all of them. And then the reason why Kadaj wants to attack the fixation enemy is because he gets a strong follow-up attack. Well, what happens with the BT is he makes it so any character in the party that attacks a fixation level 5 target will also get follow-ups. So I think when you have Kadaj rolling with his fixation at 5, which is also packed with a bunch of good, it's one of those debuffs that's kind of like Vieira's punishment, where it's a single debuff that's packed with like 5 debuffs inside of it. That's actually very good, in addition to getting the follow-ups, right? So when I say I think people should skip, it's not because I think Kadaj is bad. I think Kadaj is actually very good. Gold debuffs are very rare and a very cool thing, right? But when I look at all the other banners that are out right now, how heavy this month has been, he's definitely not like a must-need, must-have character, right? And we still have Deuce coming up, which I think a lot of people are looking forward to her as well. There's just been way too many good things this month for me to like tell people Kadaj is a must pull, right? Now, if you're excited for Kadaj and want to pull him and you like him, he's definitely like a good enough character to pull for, right? Like this banner is good enough to pull on, but for my general recommendation to most players, I actually think both of these banners are fairly easily skippable. And once again, we still have Queen coming. We just had the Astos banner. We just had the Aerith banner. There's just so much hypeness, and then we're going to be rolling into another community stream before you know it. And there's going to be more things announced, more hype coming. So my plan is, this is one where I'll probably just take it for FR, right? If I get lucky and get the BT, sure, we'll take it. But I would probably advise players to probably skip this one, just because if you're a new account, there are way higher priorities. Astos and Aerith, Rosa, even Fujin Cater. Like, I would put all that stuff above Kadaj, right? I think I'd put Deuce above Kadaj. I might have said Queen earlier, but I meant to be saying Deuce if I said Queen. But yeah, Deuce, I would put Deuce above Kadaj. So I think there's just too many characters I would put above him right now. Not that he's bad. He's still very, very good. Gold debuffs are a very cool thing. But I would say probably skippable. But if you want to summon, go ahead and do it. My plan, I'll take it for some force and see what I can get. So let me know what you guys are going to do. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.